Welcome to the School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your host, John Larsen. Today we have Kymbrianne, who is our Cubbyhole teacher.
That's right.
Which is the preschool at the high school.
Right.
We're really excited to have you with us today.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself. You and I have never met.
Right.
We've spoken a lot on the phone and via
Right.
text, but I'm anxious to get to know you. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Kymbrianne. I'm from Safford originally. I moved up here my sophomore year and graduated from Blue Ridge High School. I did the NAVIT program when I was up here, so I graduated with dual credits to NPC. So I had to go a year to NPC, and then I got my associate's degree in early education.
Great.
And then I went to NAU and graduated there with my bachelor's. I have a bachelor's in elementary education and an emphasis in early childhood. I've taught for about 6 years. I taught kindergarten and 5th grade, and then I stayed home with my kiddos for a few years, and now I'm back at the Cubbyhole. So It's been great.
Great. Now, who do you work with at the Cubbyhole?
Diana Abel, like our director.
Yeah.
So I'm in the preschool by myself, but Diana Abel is the director.
Okay.
So she's right across the hall from me.
Okay. And then also, we have kids at the high school.
Right.
Who take a class or
That's
classes.
right. So kind of like I did, I was dual enrolled at Blue Ridge and NPC, and they're dual enrolled as well. It's kind of like the NAVIT program. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's what I did. I don't know if theirs is considered NAVIT. I think it is.
It is.
So they are dual enrolled, and they come and help out in the preschool. We treat it basically like a job, and they take classes with Dr. Abel and then come into the preschool and get hands-on learning too.
Okay, cool. So how many do you have high school kids there during certain periods of the day, or every period of the day do you have someone in there with you?
It kind of depends on the high schooler schedules. So we don't have freshmen. They have to be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th level, and then they can come into the preschool. And so last year we had them 1st, 3rd, and 4th hours. So we'd have 2 to 3 kids each hour come in and do hands-on stuff in the classroom.
Great, super.
Yeah.
So tell us, let's start off here, base level. Tell us what the Cubbyhole is.
Okay, so the Cubbyhole is basically a public preschool, and we have kiddos ages 3 to 5 come in. And
so so at 5, obviously they're going to go.
They're going to go to kindergarten, right?
Okay, so 3 is the starting age.
Right.
How come not any younger than that?
They have to be potty trained.
Oh,
they have to be able to toilet themselves, and we don't do naps or anything like that. We're only a part-day program, so we go from about 8 to noon, Monday through Thursday, and they have to be able to toilet on their own, and then.
Okay, so then your high school kids are the morning classes basically that come in until noon, and then at noon those kids are off. Mom or dad
Right, mom and dad pick them up. Yep.
Or the other arrangements are made for the rest of their care for the day. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so what is this is kind of a funny question when you're thinking of 3 to 5-year-olds, but what's your curriculum for them? What do you do?
Right.
What are you teaching them during that 4-hour block?
Right. So we obviously focus on preschool skills, cutting, colors, numbers, shapes, all of that. And then we are very play-based. So we do a lot of hands-on things with manipulatives like counting bears or, patterns, sorting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then we also do kindergarten readiness. So we do letter sounds, simple addition, counting. We do patterns. We try to make it a little bit harder for the kids who are going into kindergarten. And then, like I said, we are play-based. So we use a lot of manipulatives, the counting cubes, the sorting bears, counting bears. And then we do a lot of hands-on, like painting, crafts, sand play, that kind of stuff too.
What is how do you decide who I'm assuming you've got a waiting list. I'm assuming there's more than the numbers that you have.
Right.
How many kids do you have?
We only allow 10 kiddos.
So we have
kids. Right, max 10. And so we try to gender balance. We try to have 5 and 5 or 6 and 4, somewhere around there, so that way there's not heavy on the boy side or heavy on the girl side, anything like that.
What other criteria do you use? Or is it really that?
That's
not
pretty
that
much it.
You just have a waiting list.
Right. And Dr. Abel does all of the enrollment. So I just get the kiddos and get to,
So she has all that covered. You just get your 10
teach the kids.
And go.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Right.
What I'm interested, do you see a lot of difference when you get those 10 kids? Do you see a lot of difference between where one kid is learning-wise in another?
Yeah, sometimes. You know, if they are older, like I had one who was 5 and he was turning 6 this summer. He was obviously, you know, needing more challenging work than the 3-year-olds are.
Right, sure.
But we try to balance it as best we can. And then the high schoolers coming in really help too. So I can kind of divide the kids up by ability level and have the high schoolers work with some on some of the things, you know, me work with preschoolers on something, you know, so I can kind of like individualize the curriculum a little bit more because I have the high schoolers coming in and they are to develop lesson plans and implement lesson plans and help me out where I need be, you know, so that's very helpful too because we can kind of divide them up and give them what they need depending on age.
Good.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the Cubbyhole, when we talk about STEM, what are we talking about?
Right. So we have talked about kind of, you know, we're play-based and, you know, we try to do kindergarten readiness and preschool skills and we're very hands-on, and STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And so basically it's just hands-on learning even more. An example of what we plan to do next year is to make boats. So we'll give them materials like styrofoam, cardboard, popsicle sticks, you know, whatever, and they have to build a boat. They test it to make sure it floats, and then we'll race them down like a gutter with water, and they can float with, you know, a straw, or, you know, we're going to test it and have it be hands-on. So it's really neat because they not only have to like think of how they want to make it and what's going to work best, but then they get to test it out and, you know, do everything too.
Cool.
So yeah, it's fun.
I meant before one of the first things I wanted to ask you is, where is the Cubbyhole?
It's actually in the Sholo High School.
So when you say in the high school, where?
It's in.
I'm assuming you've got a playground.
Yes, so we do. We're in B Hall, so it's in like the back of the school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the back of the school.
So you're actually high school proper. You're not
yes,
in a.
Yeah,
you're
we
not
are
in
the high school.
Modular
We're not.
outside.
We are
You
in the high school,
okay.
right? So we try to, like when the kids are in class, the high school kids are in class. That's when we go to the bathroom, or you know, go wherever we have to go.
It's crowded.
Yes, we try to.
It's a lot of traffic.
Right. We try to coexist as best as possible.
So. I said I asked about the playground.
Right.
Where's your playground?
So
what is it like just normal playground equipment?
Pretty much,
I don't
yeah.
know that I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's in the back of the high school, kind of by the track area.
Okay.
So it's back there.
Is it kind of behind the cougar den and the track?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
kind of tucked back there. It's our own little private playground. Yeah, so it's perfect. We obviously have the playground equipment with the slides and stuff like that. We have like a little climbing gym. They have a little schoolhouse that they can play in, and then we have all of the, you know, playground stuff. We have the sand toys and the balls, and this year Dr. Abel bought like the balance bikes and tricycles for the kids. So we plan on getting a little track to have them ride on that.
Good.
Yeah, it's really fun. They love it, and we try to get out 30 minutes a day at least.
Okay,
you know,
that was my next question.
Yeah, as long as the kids are dressed appropriately for the weather, I try to get them outside. Again, we're so play-based, and we want to, you know, incorporate play as much as possible, and so them playing with other students and just using their imaginations is so critical for the kids. So
that is great.
Yeah.
So when you can't get outside to play on the playground, although they're roughly 4 hours, you're saying you spend about a half hour outside.
Right.
When they're inside, what type of toys do you have? What's available for them?
We have so many toys. Yes, we do. So we have, you know, like a kitchen inside where they can do imaginary play, dress up, that kind of stuff. There's puppets. There's I'm trying to think of all the things. I'm like visualizing the classroom, trying to go around. The puzzles, blocks, magnetic blocks, Legos, big and small, trucks. I mean, they have a plethora of stuff. And usually what I like to do is do like a center time each day. And so I'll pull out 3 things and then we rotate through those centers, and they get to kind of play with each thing, but in a smaller group. So they have to share less, you know?
Good. Yeah, right.
And then, of course, like at Christmas time, we have a shed, so that's really nice because I can kind of store toys and bring them out as needed. So at Christmas time, I'll kind of swap them all out, and they come back energized and excited because there's new toys to play with. So it keeps them engaged, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So what sort of motor skill activities do you do with them?
So we focus on fine motor skills and gross motor skills, which are other larger motor skills. As far as like fine motor skills, like it can be simple things, like we have bolts and nuts where they have to screw on the nuts to the bolts, or we have these little mats where they have like zippers and buttons and like shoe tying. Like some of the kiddos, the 3-year-olds, they don't know how to tie a shoe quite yet, but they can like feed it through the holes, and then beads, you know, that kind of stuff. Anything that will help their like pencil grip and stuff like that for for the fine motor skills. And then the gross motor skills, we have the bikes that we had talked about, the balance bikes and the tricycles. So that's great for them. And then we also have mats that have hopscotch on them, so they can do that. And that's another thing that we use for like inside recess. When we can't go outside, we try to bring out stuff inside. Or, yes, bring out some of the outside stuff inside. And then we have these like little pogo sticks that are really fun. They're like a little mat at the bottom that squish and make noise, and then they can hold on and jump on them. So they love that too. So, but I mean, with the motor skills, it can be as simple as like tossing a ball back and forth, you know, catching the ball and throwing the ball, and you know, that is all intertwined.
Sure.
So
I wanted to ask, the thought came to my mind, do you ever have the opportunity to have feedback from the parents after they've left you, when they go to school, how they feel that transition is?
This is my first year.
How helpful that's been? Okay.
Right, so this is my first year, so I haven't quite yet. My first little group of kinders will go next year.
Okay.
So I will definitely keep you posted, but I do have like an open communication with the parents. You know, they can call anytime, stop by. I've had parents sit in and just kind of check out what we're doing kind of thing, and they come and pick them up every day, so there's no buses or anything like that. They have to come. So at that pickup drop off, I have exchange then. So we have like a constant open communication, so it's good.
Yeah,
so,
I'm interested to know how your efforts
me too.
how your efforts lead to it being helpful for them to make transition into kindergarten.
Right.
'Cause when I was a kid, you know, I'm kind of older, and when I was a kid, Mom was home for the most part, and so we didn't really ever. I mean, kindergarten was the introduction,
Right.
you know, whereas you're really introducing them to a kind of a structured school type setting.
Yeah, it's amazing how much kindergarten has changed. I mean, they're reading by the time they leave kindergarten now, where I'm like, oh, we just played with blocks, you know?
Right?
So it's changed a lot, but that's why I try to help them as much as possible. That way it's not as overwhelming when they do go.
Well, I think that is so cool that you have that opportunity to help those kids to grow. And by the way, it's been my experience that the younger the child, the more quickly they learn things and retain things.
Right, they're sponges. They just soak up everything.
I learned a second language, and I remember the best second language speaker that I ever met was a 5-year-old girl.
Wow.
And she could speak the language. I couldn't tell between a native and her.
Wow.
Whereas you could really tell between me and a native, right?
Right.
And so I just know that kids really, like you said, they're a sponge.
They do, yeah.
And so that's really cool. I'm excited to see how that works in the future.
Me too,
So
absolutely.
I want to get together with you and find that out.
Yeah.
Do you guys do any field trips, or are you school bound the whole time?
We don't. We are school bound, but I try to bring the outside sources in. So I try to utilize like what we have at school. So I've been in contact with like our band teacher, so that the kids can go and like listen to the band and just hear the fight song, or you know, learn about the instruments. Or Dr. Abel's talked to like our culinary teacher about maybe making gingerbread houses with them at Christmas time, stuff like that. So I try to use stuff that's on campus. And then we have Officer Tyra on campus. So when we were doing like community helpers, I had him come in, and then we briefly talked about my husband earlier, but he is a firefighter, so I wanted to have him come. It kind of has gotten messed up with, you know, COVID and everything. We cut our year short, but we wanted to have him come and, you know, have the kids tour the fire truck. So I'm going to try to bring as many outside sources in as I can, just because we are stuck at the school.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more, if you can, we might have covered it already. Tell me a little bit more about the high school students.
Okay.
Do you get a balance between male students and female students? We mostly have female students?
We mostly have female students. Yeah, we only had one male student last year.
I would guess that would be the case.
Yeah. They, you know, go and learn everything with Dr. Abel, and then, like I said, we treat it as like their job. So they come over, they have their assigned days, and they come over and they have to create their lesson plans and share their lesson plans and teach a lesson. And then whatever I have going on in the classroom, they help me out. So whether it be like calendar, I try to get them to do it as much as possible, you know, just because if they do want to be a teacher, this is a great time to, you know, get interaction with the kids and have the experience. And so I'll have them like run calendar, and I, you know, talked about dividing them into groups and having them do groups, or, you know, with crafts and stuff like that, I have them help. So they're very hands-on, and the kids love it. The little kids and big kids love it, you know. So they all just adore each other, and they develop this bond that's really special, and it's good.
So Dr. Abel has them in a classroom setting, those high school students in a classroom setting, much like an English class or a math class. They go over the curriculum, they take tests, they take quizzes.
Yeah, so they're doing modules for NPC with her, and then they come and get their basically hands-on experience with me.
Okay, so they learn about it and then they apply it with you actually in person. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, it is great.
So is there anything, I think we've pretty much covered what they do when they're with you. Do they receive, I'm assuming in today's world that part of her curriculum is the safety end of it?
Absolutely.
Teaching them how to deal with those kids, how not to deal with them, and that sort of
absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah. And before we can even step foot in the preschool, they have to be TB tested, CPR certified, all of that.
The high school kids.
The high school kids,
Great.
Yes, yeah.
I love it.
So it is, it's fabulous. And then, of course, me too, but the high school kids, and then when they come in, they do talk about, how to, like if they're fighting over a toy or something, how to kind of separate them and, try to get the, sizzle, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, like, put out the flames, basically, So,
put out any fires that
exactly.
happen to come.
Thank you.
So, how have you been able to, or have you, I don't know, since they're preschoolers, how have you kept in contact with them through this COVID crisis that we've been going through?
Right. It's been very hard on them, I think. It's so confusing. We left for spring break, and then it was like, you're not going back to school. There was no goodbye, no prep. There was, exactly.
Still.
And so I've done video chatting with them. Technology has been so wonderful through this all. So we get on, they get to see me, they get to see their classmates. We've done a lot of the video chatting and whatnot. So that's been good. And then I've sent out curriculum packets each week and a newsletter. So I communicate with the parents, through the newsletter. At first, it was like, we may come back in April, or we may, so I've kind of kept in contact with them through the newsletter. And then worksheets that they were familiar with from school, like working on our letters and stuff like that. I sent those home so they knew how to do them with their parents. And then of course I did activities like science experiments or scavenger hunts, things like that they could kind of get out and do things, but yet still, be academically involved kind of thing. So I've sent that out with them, and we've tried to stay in contact as much as possible, just to try to normalize everything a little bit.
Normalize the non-normal.
Exactly, right.
What are your plans in preparation for this coming school year as it pertains to COVID-19?
Right.
I mean, and I'm assuming I know, I'm going to ask you this question. I know the answer already. I know that every day you guys are cleaning that classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yes, I'm so diligent about cleaning. Yes, absolutely.
Tables, chairs,
absolutely.
And everything, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to obviously stick with that. Yeah,
that goes without saying. But
absolutely.
I know now COVID, that's a big thing.
Right.
Wondering how we're sanitizing.
And there's a lot of unknown about next year, But I will. I'm very diligent with cleaning and everything. So I try to think of things like, what do we use almost every day that we need to make sure we are sanitizing? So their cubbies and the pencils and everything that maybe
Scissors,
you could everything. Sure. And obviously we wipe down the tables every day, we do the chairs, we clean diligently, and thoroughly.
And the high schoolers help with that?
They do. Most of the time they do, yeah.
Good.
So it's good. Our schedules are, when the kids leave, it's at the high schoolers' lunch. So I have a high schoolers why the kids are here. So most of the time they help. But we just are going to clean everything. And then as far as students and whatnot next year, Dr. Abel and I were actually talking about it this morning, and we're like, well, we have 10, so it's not a huge class size, so that, is reassuring. But then we thought, well, if we have to divide it and make it even smaller, maybe we'll have, the 3-year-olds on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then the pre-K kids Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know, it's still so up in the air, and we're not really sure how we're going to have to do it, but it kind of depends on what the district does with the high schoolers, and
yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on what direction we get from the state.
Absolutely.
And then implementing it
the trickles down.
District. Yeah. So how big is your classroom? Is it big enough to, we all talk about 6 foot. Is it big enough to separate the kids by 6 foot, 10 kids?
I think so. Close. It's a normal sized classroom.
Right.
It's not, it doesn't have a bathroom in there or anything like that. So it's just a normal size. But I think we only have 10 kids, so that helps. The trick would be trying to get the high schoolers in there too, and trying to do everything that we've done.
It doesn't take long to get a cramped classroom.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It really doesn't.
Right.
When you go back and think about your high school, 30 kids, 20 to 30 kids in one classroom with the teacher, it was it was elbow to elbow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I can imagine that's going to be a challenge for you. And then how in the world do you ever have them play or interact without actually touching each other?
And, well, and especially because we are so play-based. I mean, they're constantly interacting, and that's how they learn.
May still be drooling.
Oh yes, we have fingers in the mouth and nose, and you know.
Yeah, there's all that stuff you have to worry about. So.
Yes, and we are good about hand washing. Like they get a breakfast at school, you know, so we have them wash their hands after they come in from recess and before we eat and after they go to the bathroom. You know, we are so diligent about cleaning and being cleanliness, you know, clean and everything, but. Yeah, I don't know.
Washing hands, it's a big deal.
Yes,
isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah.
So if I were a parent and I were thinking to myself that I wanted to be a part of next year or the year after, I would imagine with 10 kids, you better get on that list.
Absolutely.
Pretty quickly,
right?
What do I do to go about trying to get my child?
Emailing Dr. Abel is the best way. She deals with all the enrollment, and usually around like mid-April to early May is when we start opening enrollment for next year. So now,
so right now,
now's the time. Right.
So are we allowed to give her email?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, okay.
Hopefully she's good with that.
Give it to us, please.
So it's Diana.Abel. It's Diana.Abel, A-B-E-L @sholo.education.
Okay. Are you? I shouldn't ask you this on air. Are you available via email for people to visit with you?
Yeah, they can email me as well.
Okay, don't feel pressure. Just
no, you're good. You're good. It's Kymbrianne.
No, I'm not.
No, it's great. Kymbrianne.Rova @sholo.education.
Okay, spell your name.
All right, you ready for this? I know it's not a normal name. Yeah. It's Kymbrianne, and the Rova is Rova.
Okay, with a dot between.
With a dot in between Kymbrianne and Rova @sholo.education.
Okay, great. What have I missed? What have I not asked you about that you need to share with us?
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Because I just think this is a great opportunity in a lot of ways. I mean, here we have you able to do what you went to school for, what your passion is.
Absolutely.
Not only are you affecting 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, but you have the opportunity to work with teenage kids in some pretty impressionable years.
Absolutely.
I mean, these kids, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming these kids are saying in their head, well, maybe I want to be a teacher. Maybe I want to be an elementary teacher.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to go into early childhood development in whatever vein. Maybe I want to be a counselor. I mean, there's a lot of things that they can learn with you that they can take off into different careers. And so what a great position to be in to be able to affect that many people.
It is.
And then I think it's wonderful that we have the opportunity to help some parents in the education really early, but this is pretty early.
It is, yes.
Early education experience for their kids. I just think that's great.
Yeah.
And I had Dr. Abel on. It's been months ago, but I had her on. I found her to be an extremely interesting person.
Fabulous.
Very intelligent, and she knows her business.
Yes, she does. She is wonderful.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she's the one that says, "Oh, you've gotta have Miss Rova on your show."
Oh, thanks, Dr. Abel.
Yeah, you'll get to talk to her about that.
Yes.
But she's the one that wanted me to have you on so that we could talk a little bit more about that end of it.
Right.
And so I just really appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
Thanks for having
your willingness to do what you do. It takes a teacher's heart is a special heart.
Oh, thanks.
And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you do. And at some point, I would love to visit again.
Yes.
And we can talk more about how things are going.
Yeah.
In particular, I want to hear some feedback from your students from year or two before and see how they're doing and how that all worked for you.
Right.
All
yeah,
right?
I will definitely keep you posted for
Great.
sure.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Really
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us here on the School Zone, and we'll see you again soon.